Yeah, absolutely. So I'll unpack the kind of a typical deal a little bit further. So we'll go and we'll build, typically one of these, and say total development cost is usually between say $3 and $4 million. It's a couple $1 million for the building, then you have the land and the site work, and then typically, at least 500, sometimes $1 million of soft cost, safety net, construction overage, working capital, furniture, all of that kind of stuff. So a lot of times we'll do SBA, so it keeps us under the $5 million loan amount. And so therefore you only need really 10 to 15% down. When you subtract everything, it typically leaves about $40 to $70,000 of monthly cash flow.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Kesil. Today, I'm joined by someone I'm looking forward to chatting with, Brett Chotkevys, who is focusing on building senior assisted living homes around the country. So excited to have you here today, Brett.
Yeah, awesome. Excited to be here with you as well.
Definitely. I think our listeners are really going to take something away from how you're approaching both real estate and, helping seniors in their last moments of life. So thank you.
Yeah,
Let's
awesome.
dive into that. So first off, for those not familiar with your work yet, can you share what your main focus is?
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, we're in assisted living. We don't do what many people think of assisted living when they think of, residential assisted living and the home conversion, the 6 or 8 beds. What our model is somewhere in between those small 6 beds and big, the 4-story buildings that big corporate has. We go and we build out neighborhoods of what I call them, memory care mansions. And we'll build buildings that are 10,000 square feet. There's 16 private rooms. Everyone has their own bathroom, and they're big, luxurious homes, right? That's why we call them mansions. And we'll, instead of just building one, we'll buy it and develop a big piece of land and put in all the infrastructure and site work, and then go and build in phases, 1 to 4 of these, building out our own neighborhood of these mansions. And they're really designed for end of life assisted living and memory care, and really competing with the big smelly facilities in your market. Who's charging top dollar? Is it $10,000, $12,000 a month at the big smelly facility down the street? We can do every single thing: the service, the private room, the chef. We have a salon, we have libraries, we have everything in all of our buildings, but it's done more intimate, and it's done at a way where we can actually, make a difference and help people.
Awesome. And where are you creating these?
So I'm in the Austin, Texas area. So I have a few of these myself, and then we team up with people around the country. We're in 20 different states that we go and we build a very similar model to our flagship model here. And we pretty much copy and paste those buildings and use the same banks and the same everything, and just go and copy and paste around the country.
Awesome. And so how did you get started in creating these senior living mansions?
Yeah, well, I started in flipping houses, and we did that for 8 or 10 years. Flipped a good amount of houses, and was always chasing the next deal, right? Always sending out more direct mail, always trying to find the next property. And I wanted something that had stable, consistent income with a massive backside on the net worth side, right? And so it was really just like I built my first mansion, and it was actually a home conversion. We gutted a house and we did a huge addition, and we built a 15-bedroom mansion. And then I thought to myself, man, how do I scale this, right? Like, we're doing great, but I want to buy the house next door and convert that, and the house on this side and convert that. But like, that's not going to work.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And then it had like this light bulb moment, like, why can't I buy like a big old piece of land and just develop my own neighborhood of these assisted livings that are, luxurious, built for end-of-life care? And it wasn't a simple solution, right? It took me a few years to go through and find the right land, figure all the stuff out, and then build our neighborhood. And so, as I said, we do this in phases because of the funding and things like that. We like to go in and build either one or two up front, and then we'll operate for a few years. A lot of times we'll use SBA financing. We'll get past the prepayment penalty, and then we'll have literally several $1 million worth of equity in the real estate side to be able to roll that and now not need any extra funds, investor funds, and build phase 2, and then just step by step build out these neighborhoods that the cash flow is massive. And then, the exit strategy is something I haven't seen in any other niche.
Yeah, amazing. And can you expand on like the exit strategy? Like, what makes it so special?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll unpack the kind of a typical deal a little bit further. So we'll go and we'll build, typically one of these, and say total development cost is usually between, say, $3 and $4 million. It's a couple $1 million for the building. Then you have the land and the site work, and then typically, at least 500, sometimes $1 million of soft cost, safety net, construction overage, working capital, furniture, all of that kind of stuff. So a lot of times we'll do SBA, so it keeps us under the $5 million loan amount. And so therefore you only need really 10 to 15% down. And so you can come in, you can a lot of times raise the investor money for this. You need 500, 600, 700,000 for a deal. And then you can come in and build out, the first mansion in your neighborhood. And so, as I said, our niche is kind of matching the highest comp in our market as far as usually the big smelly facilities, right? Looking at their little memory care wing. And most times that's, $8,000 to $10,000. Some more expensive areas, it's $12,000, $14,000 a month. When you subtract everything, because this is not a passive investment. We don't go and do this and rent it to big corporate. We operate them. So when you start looking at, okay, well, we're going to bring in $130,000 to $160,000 a month of top line income from one building, subtracting by, our mortgage and expenses and staffing, it typically leaves about $40,000 to $70,000 of monthly cash flow, right? Obviously it's going to be drastically different if you're $8,500 a month versus $14,000 a month, but you're in a very strong spot to, for me, it just totally replaced my active flipping income from having one of these buildings. And so you'll come in, build at, call it $4 million. You have a $3.5 million loan. We have appraisals back at $7 million for the real estate part. That's excluding the value of the operations company. So now you're coming in, you have $2-3 million worth of equity there. And now you don't need any extra capital from investors or yourself. And you can roll that equity, refinance, move into, say, a 504 or a commercial loan, put a new SBA 7A loan behind that, and now build mansion number 2. And then you just continue to kind of rinse and repeat, stabilize, with 2 buildings, $700,000 to like $1.1 million a year, depending on your market, on the cash flow, and now having $8 million in equity on the real estate side, and then just rinse and repeat again. And you get to a place where, You can have a build out complete neighborhood over 10 years and you have a $30 million profit on the exit strategy.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, amazing. That's incredible. What would you say are some of the main challenges of this specific niche?
There's definitely a lot of challenges in this because it's an active business, right? It's really an operations company is where all the cash flow is coming from. So myself, I was flipping and rentals and all that kind of stuff is my background. It's not like that at all. We're talking about running, you being a CEO, running your own operations company with staff that's 24/7. So Christmas, New Year's Eve, all of those kind of things, you have to make sure these caregivers show up. So we essentially have, 2 managers per building. We have 1 chef per building, and we have caregivers, 2 caregivers that are there 24/7. And so that's kind of what the staff looks like per building, but making sure that you can have great people that show up every day and you're really there to make a difference. Like our success comes because we build a great wait list. We are able to charge top dollar because we have the best care in our city. And it really goes back to running your operations company and making a difference in your community because this whole industry is very tight niche. You'll have all of the home health, hospice, doctors. Everyone knows who the best is and who the worst is. And so it makes it very, very easy to win if you run a great company. And it makes it very easy to fail if you don't give a dang and you're turning staff over constantly and your managers are turning every 6 months. This is what it's like at big, smelly facilities, right? They're just this culture of death. And so they provide terrible care and they have 65% occupancy and they're probably breaking even, right? So it all comes back to, managing your staff, creating a winning team, really caring and serving these people, and then you're able to make crazy money on it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, not easy to run those types of operations, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And what would you say to an investor that's wanting to try out this style of investing into these senior homes? Like, how can someone get started?
Well, depending on what you're looking for, there's for sure the active side, right, that I just talked about. And I see a lot of success with husband-wife teams. You may have this might be a little cliche, but you have the husband who's dabbled in real estate investing. He's got some rentals. He's doing a little flips on the side. And then you have the wife who's a nurse or in the medical field. We team up with a bunch of husband-wife teams that crush it. And you have the 2 different sides that you need. And I always consider there's kind of 3 different components to be successful. You need kind of the real estate business person to put the deal together. You need the operations person who's maybe kind of the nurse avatar. And then you need the capital, right? You need the investor, and that could be a silent person. And so we see a lot of teams that are husband and wife coming in or 2 business partners, and then they're just raising money from, this third avatar there, raising that $300,000, $500,000, $600,000 coming in and being able to be successful when you have the right plans and set up for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I like how you're highlighting everyone's different skill sets that they can bring in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what are you most focusing on solving or scaling to next?
So now because we live in Texas, we have our own buildings here in Texas. That's kind of where we started, right? As we started building out this model, it started here in Texas a few years ago, and we were teaming up with people, expanding into different markets. And now we're expanding outside of Texas. We're getting, honestly, from coast to coast, going to a groundbreaking in Idaho in a couple weeks, and then in Houston next week. And we have teams up in the Northeast and really learning all of these different markets and being able to gather data from, okay, here's our construction costs over here. Here's what lenders will do over here. Putting all of this together to be able to have this mastermind of all this different data. Because we literally copy and paste. Here's the same building, but how does it compare if you're building out a cinder block in Florida versus if you're building somewhere in a snow-like area, right? So gathering all of this kind of stuff and really just kind of systematizing it state by state by state as we continue to expand across the country.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Awesome. And what do those like systems that need to be in place look like?
Well, there's a lot of components to that because we walk through this from A to Z with teams. So, I mean, really going through and looking on the front side at the land and knowing, right, like some states have totally crazy, zoning laws. Some states have flood areas or wetlands, right? What does that look like on the front side? Then, going through the construction, as I mentioned, like snowy areas are totally different in the north than in the south as we're looking into the MEP and all of those kind of things. The challenges are roughly the same everywhere. It's usually staffing. I think what a lot of people think might be the hardest part is filling your beds is actually not. Filling your beds when you have a beautiful product and you have a great reputation is actually very easy. So we're able to, teach that and copy and paste the sales, the touring, all the marketing stuff across the board. And I think that's one of the things that we've really dialed in, but continuing to go and look at all the little details because you're going to be licensed with the state. What does that look like? State by state by state is all these different rules and regs and codes and stuff that you have to process through.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense, especially across the different states.
Yeah. You have some states that are easy and are business friendly, and then some states that man, it's like, maybe we shouldn't do this here. This is very difficult. They're trying really hard to make it difficult.
Yeah, definitely. And so when you're like working on these senior homes, is there like any issues with getting the people in, or is that like not an aspect that you're taking care of? Do you like hire out for that?
Yeah. So filling the beds, right? Getting the people in. Our niche is end of life. So that's later assisted living and that's memory care. So I think of it from this perspective it's almost like this funnel. At the top of the funnel, you have, independent living, and then a little down the funnel, you have assisted living. And assisted living is kind of broken into, I think, front side and back side, meaning the front side is, you have grandma and she can walk around and she's fine, but she just needs somebody there to make sure she's okay. The backside of assisted living is you're incontinent, you're in a wheelchair, it's a 2-person transfer in and out of bed, you need oxygen, lots of things that you're not memory care, but it's a lot of work that you need. You need a lot of care. And then there's also the memory care side, right? Well, you might be able to walk and talk and do all those things, but you don't know your name anymore. You don't recognize your spouse anymore, all of those kind of things. So our niche is more end of life and ultimately like a bigger problem to solve. So with that in mind, it's very much the bottom of the funnel, right? Like instead of going to the, nursing home, you're coming to one of our mansions. And so we are therefore not looking at markets that are, where is there enough homes that are available, or where is there an excess of seniors? That's not really relevant. We actually take the other approach of we're going to go and be right next to the big smelly facilities, especially all the independent livings or the 55 plus communities, because those are all of our people. They're going to be in all of our competition. They're going to be in the 4-story building on independent, and then they're going to age and they're going to decline and they're going to have, excessive medications. And then when they meet with the doctor, the nurse, the hospice, the home health, they're going to say, hey, you know what? It's time for mom to move to the next step, right? She shouldn't be here on her own anymore. Right? It may be moving from independent to assisted, or from entry-level assisted to later assisted, or into memory care. And so when we are going in, we just get plugged into the market, and really this whole marketing niche is relationship based. It's not about direct mail. It's not about PPC. It's knowing all the people in the industry, the home health, the hospice, the nurses, all those kind of things. Because when you have the most beautiful building and you have the best care, it's very natural for them to meet with, daughter who's power of attorney and say, hey, you know what, mom has declined. And now here's our new, course of action. And we should move her to such and such place. And we want to be that place, right? So we get tons of referrals. We don't pay for any of these things. It's because we have plugged ourselves into the community and actually be right next to all the competition.
Yeah, amazing. That's such a different aspect of business to then have to, find the right caretakers and medical team too.
So you touched on a kind of a good point. And with the medical team, I always like to tell people, because people think that what we do may have a lot of medical, people that you need on your payroll, therefore maybe having a lot of risk. And actually what we do is very limited on risk and liability, because an assisted living by definition is actually non-medical. We practice ADLs, which is activities of daily living. Now, I said we do all these different medical things, and we have house doctors, and we have home health and hospice, and people will literally be there to pass away. But my staff is honestly all non-medical. I don't have a nurse on staff. I don't need a nurse on staff. I have people doing activities of daily living, and then I have all these outside services that come in. So we coordinate, right? That's really my manager's job, is coordinating with all the medical people, and they're using our salon or the grandma's bedroom as their little doctor's office. And so we have a house doctor, not on my payroll. It runs through the residence insurance, and they come every week, or they send their NP every week, sees all the grandmas and grandpas. Home health and hospice, again, they're in the building every single day. They're taking care of all of them. That is not a liability on me. I'm not charging for those services. I essentially have a month-to-month residential lease with these grandmas, right? That the power of attorney has signed as well. And so it makes my job very simple from a medical perspective. I'm just doing non-medical things and coordinating with the professional care, and therefore keeping all of that risk and liability off of me and my company. While as I'm comparing to the big smelly facilities down the street, they have a nurse on staff. They're doing all of those things. They're paying that higher expense and payroll and risk and all those things, but I don't have to with what we do.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a helpful explanation. So thanks for that.
Absolutely.
Well, before we wrap up here, if somebody wants to reach out, connect, learn more about what you're up to, where can people find you and connect with you?
Yeah, I would start with my podcast, Assisted Living Investing with Brett Chotkevys. I would check that out. I go through a lot of this kind of stuff. And then if you want to learn more about it, I have a couple courses on our website that are totally free. And it'll walk you through really the first kind of like 3 to 4 months of, if I want to get into this, what do the steps look like? And so I'd hit our website, assistedlivingmansion.com. At the top, there's free resources. Sign up for the courses. They're totally free. There's no spam there. And it's very, very practical, actionable. Here's exactly what to do to know if this is something I should pursue.
Perfect. Well, appreciate your time, your story, and your perspective. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely happy to share it.
Awesome. And for the listeners tuning in, if you got value, make sure you have subscribed. We've got more conversations with operators like Brett who are building real businesses. We'll see you on our next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.